Yo, what's going on YouTube? So unfortunately, Shyway's YouTube channel has been hacked and terminated due to a trademark violation I guess the hackers did. So he reached out to me to make this video about him covering Rostermania. If you want to know more about this situation, you can go to Shyway's Twitter. He's posted a tweet about it. And hopefully Shyway can get his YouTube channel back. But without further ado, let's get into it.
This is just basic Rostermania. You know what I mean? They don't understand me when it's very clear that I'm just another guy who got Rostermania. Come on, man. Rostermania. Okay, let's put some confirmed rosters together. Not confirmed, though, COL, right? Speculation. Does that do it? That does it, right? Oh, that is just good Halo right there. That is just... I hope Descendant K and Monster get nice teams. I think Descendant is still a great pick as well. Yeah, we got some pretty high-quality pickups that could shift things around. Like, that's when we get to the conversation of Trippy and Dead Zone. What do they want to do? You got two players on top 3 rosters that need teammates. Is Suppress sticking with Dead Zone? And then is there somebody that can be poached from a team like, let's say, Cloud9 or, yeah, somewhere else, right? Precision said he wants to keep his options open. Tusk is likely going to be the coach for Optic. I don't think it's like locked in, but I think that's what it's looking like. Royal One is a free agent coach, probably the best free agent coach you could want. Super CC, I think, said he wants to compete. I don't know if Straight Sick is competing. King Nick's been grinding the hell out of matchmaking, and he's playing up there with these. He's playing with Cykul and collecting them, right? So I would assume he wants to compete. You got Gunny who's been grinding. Okay, so we'll kind of shelve this and then come back to it because we should watch some videos together, right? So SSG have just announced that they released Bound and Legend. We've been talking about this for a long time. This finally confirms it, right? So Bound and Legend, they were poached. There's nowhere that these two go but Optic, right? You don't win a world championship and go anywhere else but another top team. Like, it'd be ridiculous. So it's confirmed. Like, Optic is confirmed. There's no looking around that at any, like, you can't deny it at this point. Just about an unprecedented decision to make after winning a tournament like this. Crazy run out of them. And you do have to give a lot of respect to the org for the amount of effort and passion that they put into Halo. I think they are the #1 team, you know, as far as like investment into Halo esports. Like they're fully there. They're dedicated. Obviously, you know, you get that from a variety of orgs, but it's good to see like a team as passionate as them make it to that standing, right? Because we've had a lot of situations with other teams that put a lot of effort in and don't find the success that you'd think they deserve. Like KCP, I think, is a good story, right? Like KCP, they gave so much to Halo. Basically, I think the biggest thing is they didn't have a financial backing to really, you know, keep them going. But they gave so much to Halo and they didn't get partnership. They had a rock solid team, but just unfortunate to see them go. And I think Native is kind of in a similar position where they're also, you know, doing what they can to kind of put themselves in the spotlight for partnership, but haven't achieved that just yet. Either way, end of an era for SSG, or I guess one really good year. Okay, so before that, Shopify go ahead and announce their roster. Before that happens, though, I guess we should say that Royal One confirmed it, really, right? Like, if anybody's been keeping close tabs on the scene and who's going on what team, whatnot, when Royal One came out saying that he's an FA coach, that confirmed the roster, I think, to everybody in the public. Like, it let us know that Faze is splitting up, Royal One's splitting from Royal 2. The only circumstances where Royal 2 and Royal 1 aren't working together is if like they went to another team that already had a coach, right? The only place they could realistically go would have been Shopify. So Frosty Royal 2 over to Shopify. So we're all kind of anticipating it right before the announcement happens. And then it happens. This is our best man coming in, announcing it for everybody.
Watching his scrims online, seeing how he was playing on LAN against the best teams,
Lastshot is
made
nasty.
me realize, hey, we need to get this guy.
He is an ex-pro.
And, you know, to pair him along with Cykul was one of our goals. And yeah, well, that was our first piece we got, and I'm glad we got him first. And then next up, you know, we got Royal 2. He was high priority on our list. I actually teamed with him when I used to play.
There you go.
In 2011. And he was 16 years old, I think, at the time. His parent
before
used to come to
Snakebite.
events. His brother would come to events. And old, I think, at the time.
That's Clutch right there, right? Clutch. Looks like Clutch. Best man. Royal 2. Who's this? Any OGs might know.
His parents used to come to events. His brother would come to events.
It might not be. I think it is him,
I
though.
just even back then, like his raw skill was just insane. It's great to get him back on a team. You know, he's solidified himself as one of the best Halo players of all time. He has the veteranness, the experience on Sunday. His play
now
style
he's the
is
vet.
just perfect for what we need in terms of LAN gameplay, tournament gameplay, and I couldn't be more excited for him to be on the roster. Frosty, you know, same thing. Like he's been solidified himself as one of the greats in Halo, and his play style is obviously a little bit different than Royal 2's and a little bit faster, more on like Cykul and Lastshot speed. And I think that'll just bring that balance that we need in terms of like IGL. I know he's more of a vocal player with his last few rosters.
Yeah.
So to bring him in with our younger players and Royal 2, I think will just be the perfect mix of play styles and personalities that we need.
Awesome looking team on paper. Not quite the squad just yet, right? I think with Optic and SSG, safe to say that they've proven that they're a top team. They've won tournaments, multiple. With Cykul and Lastshot, they haven't won anything yet, but the potential from these guys is just boundless, it seems, right? I'm excited about it. I think the team with the most potential to really come out and, you know, surprise us is going to be this one. Their ceiling is high. Just matters, like what matters is how much they want it, how much time they put in, right? Cykul has been grinding it nonstop.
What was the conversation with you, Royal, and Renegade and Snakebite with the change? There wasn't really one. I talked to Snakebite a lot in the offseason for sure, or like a decent amount.
Probably because
Snakebite
was getting poached by SSG.
Get announced as well. Hey, it's all good, React Timer. I mean, you can still root for us. Just it's gonna be a little separate now. You know, yeah, all the rosters are like set pretty much now. What do you think about SRs in org? Insane. This is the best org I've been on in a long time, by far. And I literally just joined. That's the
thing, man. Shopify they've got the financial backing. It's a huge organization. Like, if they're not partnered next season, I'll be surprised, right? If anybody's getting partnership next season, I feel like they're the first ones to get it. We have to see Shopify. Like, it's a top 3 team. If we don't have Shopify skins for a top 3 team, that's insane.
I mean, we know it's business at the end of the day. Whatever, like, our paths lead to. We accomplished a lot together, made history together, and it had to come to an end at some point. Not the way we wanted it to end, but
yeah,
it's unfortunate, but it's all good. I
guess sort of how it has to end, right? Like if you're still winning, you're not going to stop, right? Like if you're still winning, you just keep playing like forever. I guess you'd be an old man. Like the only way for something like this to, I guess maybe you just decide that you don't enjoy it anymore and you move on or something like that. But they just go out with a dub, like kind of like Chris Bumstead retiring at 30 and then 6 championships. But yeah, like it makes sense. Start losing, and then you're not the one who gets the pick of the litter anymore. You kind of have to like adapt and find a solid team that can keep competing.
What are some standout characteristics about Cykul's gameplay? I mean, he just plays Halo Infinite how Halo Infinite should be played.
And Frosty.
His gameplay reminds me of me.
Yeah.
A lot, to be fair. He's just like super cracked.
I think Cykul is very fast in the map. Obviously, he shoots straight. He does a ton of damage. There's a pacing to his gameplay that reminds me of Frosty. Frosty's like a flow state player. Like he gets it. You know that Bruce Lee quote?
Be formless, shapeless, like water. Now you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend.
That's Frosty's gameplay, in my opinion. Just like he gets in this state of flow where he's exactly where he needs to be. He's reading the map perfectly. I get that sense with Cykul as well. Like he knows how to pace himself perfectly. He'll slow it down when he needs to. And when he speeds it up, he's incredibly fast and he's very creative with his gameplay. He's an extremely difficult kill. He just stays alive. And that's why he's got the support player role. I think that also makes him flexible when it comes to OBJ as well. He could be that player who's kind of picking up some of the slack in that regard. Frosty and Royal 2, not very OBJ folk, especially Royal 2. He'll stay the farthest away from the ball, I would assume.
Bro, someone's got to grab it, bro. Like, I mean...
Frosty could maybe pivot a bit, but I think Cykul's going to be the one who's balancing that out. Lastshot is interesting, though. Lastshot doesn't remind me of Frosty. I don't know as well, like, who I would say his gameplay sort of emulates, but one thing that I can say about Lastshot, when I watch his POV, the first word that comes to mind, like with his aim, is effortless. Like, his aim looks effortless when he hits shots. There's something about the way that he aims and the balance of his left stick and right stick, because all good aim is like a perfect balance of left stick and right stick, right? Some players are more right stick dominant, some are more left stick dominant. something about the way he aims looks so freaking easy. He doesn't miss. It just looks so, it's so smooth, right? And they both have those young kid reactions. They're just deadly, deadly on the map. So I'm very curious to see how Lastshot evolves over the year.
Faze staying in Halo? I'm not sure there, to be honest. I don't actually know. I think they're trying to.
There's kind of like a big dialogue we can have around that, right? Like if Faze is staying in Halo, which I think Kason has confirmed, I guess, or he said that they want to stay in Halo. At this rate, they're not a top 3 team. I'm not sure what kind of combination of players Faze could have that would put them in the same position that they were last year. Like we can do some theory crafting, but it also makes me think like either, you know, they're just going to end up with a team that's not as good on paper, or they're like reducing their investment in the esport in some way and maybe combining with native, which we've seen rumors of, to form some sort of other team. I don't know, you know.
Like we didn't form our team before to get like 4th place or something. Like we should be winning. It's either first or you guys split.
No,
not like necessary. I mean, maybe not first, but I feel like our placings this year are pretty bad.
Sounds like there was no issue with the team. Like they all vibe with each other. They probably all still think they have what it takes to win, but their track record over the last year was not what they wanted, and they lost. And as a result, this is where they are. You know what I mean? Like if you're not winning, then you have to adapt and react to your circumstances. These teams are going to start shifting around, and if you're not, you know, a part of that, then you get left out of, you know, a top 3 opportunity or something like that, right? They just kind of have to take the opportunities that come their way and make some decisions here, because unfortunately they didn't get the wins that they wanted. But I think when it comes to like, they seem to still vibe well together, and they still probably would have wanted to work it out, you know, in other circumstances. Makes sense.
Yeah, like 6th, 4th, something. Like we won one. Third,
yeah, they got like
third,
a 6th. They won London.
6th, 4th. I think it's I think the biggest problem is this game. Our team had too much skill for such a easy game. That,
too much
like,
skill.
We didn't play properly because we have like basically.
We got to talk about this.
Almost. That's like the best way to put it. Like if we were playing Halo 5, we'd probably be doing like 360s or like, you know what I mean? Like the game's like more individual. I think like this year it's like more jiggle peeking, like playing your life, and we wouldn't play our life, or like, you know what I mean? Like I think we had like actually like too much skill. I know that sounds like dumb, but it's like more about the fundamentals. That's why Optic was really good, because I feel like they had like really good fundamentals. That's why they're really consistent. It's because they're not doing like crazy and like
taking
running
the same
at people
risks
and like blocking spawns. They just like play like very like, you know, spawn people in one spot, blah blah blah, like just do the most like routine. That's all Halo Infinite is, like routine, blah blah blah, do this, do that. Like whereas like we.
Chad, do you agree with this? Is he speaking facts? What do you guys think, Chad? It's an interesting conversation and a comparison between Halo 5 and Infinite. He's talking facts, facts low key. So okay, what is he trying to say, right? Can we like decipher this for a second? What he's saying, like too much skill? Like I think the spawn system is a really big part of it, and the way the spawns worked in Halo 5 versus the way that they worked in Infinite. There's a few different things about Infinite spawns that make it such that if you play aggressive with their play style and you push out spawns and you try to ego your way into that extra couple kills, you might do yourself a disservice, right? Because squad spawning, for example, like if we look at a map like Aquarius, if you're like in blue util and the enemy's spawning in blue and you're getting kills in util and like you're right next to the spawn, because team spawn influence is so powerful, they keep spawning in blue and like fridge, and what might be an advantage might turn into a disadvantage if you can't, like, you know, adapt to a situation like that. And it never feels 100% consistent. Like, there are so many clips from pros like Snakebite, for example, like showcasing that he himself doesn't understand how the spawn system works in, you know, Aqua Slayer in certain situations. It's weird, right? The spawn system also has a tendency to push players up on the map and give them a larger perimeter. Versus Halo 5, like Halo 5 spawns were very consistent. Like you could get it down to a T. If you were controlling the map in a certain way, the enemy would always spawn exactly where you wanted them to, and contained, right? The players who were on spawn were at a disadvantage, which historically in Halo is how Halo has been played, right? Like if you're getting killed, then prepare to eat, you know, maybe a couple more deaths, because you're gonna end up in a disadvantaged state because you got killed. Halo Infinite tries to circumvent that and give players who are dying a chance to bounce back in the game by gifting them map control and gifting them spawns near their teammates, or like how often a spawn will flip. Like for example, on streets, so many situations in streets where like you leave C and you're pushing A, but you haven't fully pushed A, and A should still be open, but C flips already. Right? Like, to what degree does the spawn flip? It never feels consistent. And the next thing you know, there's a guy behind you in C. So you got to have that extra layer of discipline of having somebody locking down the setup, sitting in C to ensure that they continue spawning in A. Like, the degree to which things flip and change around, or like where the team influence comes into play, it's way harder to, it just doesn't, it's almost random. It's gotten to the point where you can't lock it down and it doesn't feel as skillful. On top of the fact that with Halo 5, you've got the movement, right? So at any point, when you're running an advantage state, you've got, not that it's get out of jail free specifically, but you've got more flexibility to be an individual beast on the map and to kind of get away with those ego risky plays and make it work. So he's kind of speaking facts, I would say. Like, I don't know. I just think that the play style of Halo 5 rewarded the better team.
It's hard to understand that level because everyone's obviously insanely good, so it's like must come down to tiny. It is tiny things. I'm not kidding. Like, an example would happen with our team. We'd have a full setup. One of us would be top gold. We die to the guy BR. We just go to...
I think he's saying recharge, right? Top gold, recharge, the guy BR coming out of A, the low A door. That, or he's saying top tower BR, right? No, but I think he's saying coming out of the BR spawn at the A door, which is a terrible death if you're dying in gold from that position, from somebody in that position.
And be like, what are we doing? Like, Optic isn't doing that, but it's like, we'll do it, and it's like, oh my... like, what?
I guess those are moments where it's like, you know, Optic... will hold the setup and play in such a way that preserves their life and keeps the setup as long as possible, versus like the ego can come into play even when you're holding a setup on how long you spend in that gunfight, how much damage you choose to take, how many shots you put down, you think you're going to get that kill, etc., right? So there's a very minute like balancing act, and like even when you're in the right position, you can still have an ego and peaking that one extra time that you shouldn't have, or you know what I mean? Like knowing the correct situations and how much damage you should be doing to put enough pressure on the enemy to keep them where they are, basically.
I swear Sparty's team got announced. Or
don't get fooled by that Twitter.
Like Sparty,
I know what
I'm
he's
pretty
talking
sure
about.
it's that team. Like Sparty, Breaking Shot, us, and Precision or something.
There's a Twitter called like Ambition France or something. That's what he's talking about. He's talking about this. This is not an official announcement, and I feel like a lot of people see this and they're like, oh, it's happening. But this is a rumor, basically. Would be expected at Complexity. They're not announced, you know what I mean? So they're basically just saying this is what the rumor is. This is, you know, just to generate some interest. But that looks like Sparty's best option. Without a doubt, he's playing with Huss on a regular basis, so you'd think that he'd end up on Complexity. I don't know if everybody will stay there. Like, Breaking Shot and Huss are on Complexity. The only person that I'm not sure about is Precision. Precision has said he's an FA recently. He said that he wants to keep his options open. I think he's like... he knows he's probably got a good in with Complexity, but I know he's like a top tier FA as well. Like I wouldn't be surprised if some people are interested in potentially getting something going with him. So I don't know. This is what we've got, right? So Optic and SSG are like confirmed. Come on, right? If it's anything other than this, it just wouldn't make sense. And especially Optic. Optic is confirmed. There's no world where Legend and Bound don't end up on Optic after SSG release them. So this has to be SSG. There's no reason why SSG can't beat Optic. On paper, obviously, Optic is devastating. Shopify, it all depends on how well they mesh and how good Lastshot and Cykul look. ITB still, ITB is the best I think Europe could put together. Pure looks solid. Definitely, I would put them in like top 6 category, but they are going to have some proving to do. I think that like the players on Pure, while they all performed within top 4 throughout the year, they were not the players who were the standouts on their respective teams in the same way that Cykul and Lastshot were, right? So Cloud9 were actually pretty rock solid. There's an alternate timeline where Cloud9 knock SSG out in top 12 at SLC if they just got like one more kill in that live fire Slayer, right? And if they did that, then SSG might not have been world champions. Who knows, right? Apart from that, though, you know, like I think they still got potential. I think they're sticking together. But whether or not they shift around really depends on the conversations that are being had now that things are starting to lock into place. Ryan Noob has said that he's competing. This is not a team. I'm not making a team here for the record. I got to make like a Let Me Cook category. If Ryan Noob continues competing, he's likely going to stay with Rain. So that's like half a team right there. I can see Lethal and APG teaming. Yeah, they've have teamed together before. Back on Sentinels, right? During Halo 3, APG replaced Frosty for a little bit. So they do have background and a friendship. They've also teamed together before that as well. I think APG, Formal, Lethal teamed together at one point back in like Halo 4. Was it Reach or something like that? With like Maniac? Am I tripping? I don't know. Collect, I assume, is an FA. Man's been grinding. He's still like a talent and a good pickup somewhere in here. And then you got to think like, do one of these rosters shift around? Like Dark Inside, I could see somebody getting poached. Like Ezo is like 18. He's a talented young player. He's still very new, so I think he's still got to play a little bit longer so he can get his name out there maybe. But Descendant is a good pickup. Descendant's cracked. He'd be a good option. He's bounced around quite a bit, but I still think he's a good option. He's been grinding. Hope Gunplexion gets a shot. Yeah, I hope so too. We had a long conversation about Gunplexion. Unfortunately, my YouTube channel got hacked and now you guys can't watch it. But you know, I think he deserves a shot. Where he ends up, hard to say. I think Lucid said it pretty well in that video on Reddit. If you guys saw that, Lucid gave his opinion in like 40 seconds, and I think he summed it up.
Complexion overall, I think he deserves to be on an SGS team. What level? Top 6, top 12. I mean, Gunny's got... I mean, he's got a lot of heart, but he's got to be more consistent on land. Whether it's his teams, whatever, like, he's got to make sure he's actually placing before he gets, like, a good shot.
I think, like, until he can do that, there's kind of the impression that, like, maybe he doesn't play as well on land, right? I'm not saying that he doesn't. I'm just saying that, like, you got to start to prove yourself and get some accolades. And I think the best way to do that would be a team like Dark Inside, Lethal Fox, Ascending Baseline, and align himself with players who, you know, he's got to figure out who he meshes with. But yeah, guys, there's no way for me to lock in any of these other rosters. We could talk about, like, who might have good chemistry together, but then you got to think about who's going to realistically win together. Like this roster is vibey, but like we're getting to a point in the esport where I feel like you got to have a good mix. You got to have a team like this where it's a mix of young and veteran players. It really comes down to chemistry. You know, like, I think, like, we're at a point in Infinite's life where there's a lot of talented players in this sport. Like, yes, there's some clear individual standouts, and they're kind of already accounted for on these top 3 teams. But there's a lot of really good players. It really comes down to chemistry, how well these guys mesh with each other.